Indian food, clap your hands if you agree, tastiest food on the planet.
I love samosa.
So I like varieties of curry. I love tandoor, kebabs.
I like chicken tikka.
Butter chicken.
Samosas.
Of course, naan.
Love samosas, chana masala.
From regular folks
I felt that it was very wholesome.
to celebrities.
Everything. My favorite is always the chicken tikka masala.
Chicken tikka masala ready.
Tikka masala.
So Indian food is romantic food. But if you can spend your life with somebody who's just...
Politicians to diplomats. Everyone loves Indian food. Indian food is one of the fastest growing cultural products in the world.
Indian food is known across the world. My heart lies with food. Here in New York, of course, there are so many Indian restaurants.
And he's right. Look at New York's Murray Hill neighborhood. Home to many South Asian restaurants, this neighborhood is now fondly called Curry Hill. But does food merely satisfy hunger? Or is it something more? Let's find out.
Say that food is a really big part of a culture, so you will definitely always find something that you like in almost any culture.
Like one meal really could completely capture my interest in a nation. Yeah.
Perhaps it can be used for diplomacy and nation branding.
Diplomacy or cultural understanding or mutual understanding is part of geopolitical landscape. So when you are expressing yourself through food, you are trying to bring people together, culture together, and trying to put your point of view across to the person.
So gastrodiplomacy itself is the field. Gastrodiplomacy is about how countries or communities communicate their policy, their culture, their values through cuisine. And of the broad field of gastrodiplomacy, there exists kind of three pillars of it. There's culinary diplomacy, how governments use food in the diplomatic process. So what would I feed the head of state who's visiting from Morocco to the White House? How do I use food in the diplomatic process to help smooth out diplomatic negotiations, peace talks? Another side of the field is gastrodiplomacy, how you use food for public diplomacy purposes. Diplomacy is how governments communicate with governments, whereas public diplomacy is how governments or non-state actors, communities communicate with people. And it's using different forms of culture, the intangibles, music, food, art, dance, culture. And so public diplomacy and gastrodiplomacy is a form of public diplomacy, is how you communicate the culture with foreign publics. So the pioneer is Thailand. They were the first to conduct a gastrodiplomacy campaign back in the 90s. They did a Thai gastrodiplomacy campaign to help increase the number of Thai restaurants around the globe. South Korea did a wonderful gastrodiplomacy campaign and mixed that with cultural diplomacy through K-pop. So you had kimchi diplomacy and K-pop. Peru is another country that's been doing a lot of gastrodiplomacy. They got Peruvian cuisine listed on the UNESCO Culinary Intangible Heritage List. Other examples are Malaysia. Malaysia did a program for a number of years that included the Ministry of Tourism, the Ministry of Finance, similarly offered soft loan financing for Malaysian restaurants. The other side of the field, which is what I have called people-to-people gastrodiplomacy.
You need to be interviewed because here's the example. No, but the example of food is diplomacy, and you are the person for him to speak to. Look what's happening right now. This is diplomacy.
And that's the goal of an organization I found out about called the League of Kitchens. They help bridge cultures by offering culinary workshops with immigrants from all over the world.
Social gastronomy is how you use cuisine dealing with social issues. So how do you bring immigrant communities, bring their culture more to the fore?
To find out about the League of Kitchens, I traveled to Kew Gardens, Queens to visit the apartment of Yamini Joshi. The first thing I had to do was learn all the secret Indian spices.
So turmeric, garam masala, fenugreek, are all the spices in Indian cooking named for Game of Thrones characters?
Yes.
Guess what? Columbus went to India to get spices.
If you look at, say, 15th century or thereabout, the history of Europe or modern West, as they're called, so much of it is, or you'll have a constant reference to spice route, for example. Now, spice route, age of discoveries, that history, if you look at it very closely, food is an integral part of it. Food has been part of wars, food has been part of greed.
And the reason of wars in many cases.
Food has been part of expeditions,
Yeah.
food has been part of politics. So, understanding of food, understanding of how events have been shaped, food at some point in time was wealth, because spice was wealth.
It's no coincidence that chicken tikka masala is Britain's favorite dish. The story goes back to Queen Victoria and her Indian attendant, Abdul Karim.
Oh, the spices. Cumin, coriander, garam masala.
Garam masala? What is garam masala?
It is what you put into the sauce. You have never tasted Indian food? Dal, Rogan Josh, biryani with mango chutney.
Mango chutney?
Chutney made out of mango.
What is mango?
Mango is the queen of fruit.
We talk of globalization today in a modern sense, but globalization has been happening in the world. Buddhism traveled from India to various parts of the world, and when globalization, people moved from India or some other country to various parts of the world, and along with them, traders went, monks went, teachers went, and food went.
A little surprise, Your Majesty.
What is it?
A mango, Your Majesty.
For anyone outside the subcontinent, Indian, Pakistani, and Bangladeshi might seem like different cuisines, and maybe they are. But what is the perception and attitude towards these different cuisines from people within the region?
Kheer is a rice dessert made with milk and sugar. It's really great after like a spicy meal. I personally am vegetarian, so Indian food is great.
Cuisine doesn't have borders, it has regions. And so the food in Bangladesh can be very similar to West Bengal, but there are differences because of, where that border is. I mean, some of the foods in Pakistan can be similar, and yet I've been to Pakistan. I know there's also some very, very different cuisine in Pakistan.
Very, very different across all regions, made from completely different things. Most Pakistani, Bengali foods have chicken or beef, like some kind of meat, whereas Indian food generally doesn't. I know that's one very big distinction. But the spices used, the ingredients used, almost everything else is identical.
So I'd say that my only reference is Indian food. I don't think I've ever been served like Pakistani food or anything else. Like it's very foreign to me. I don't think I've ever had that. Probably, or I might have, just not knowing that I had it. But yeah, I've got no references at all.
My name is Abdul Chaudhary. I'm from Pakistan. I've been to India to learn some Indian recipes. Bangladeshi mostly like the fishes and they like the beef curry. So the Pakistani people, they like a goat curry, lamb chop, and the chicken. This is our Karachi biryani. It's from Pakistan recipe. And the Indians, they like to eat. They have a little different rice and mostly they like a dal and some vegetables.
Yeah, actually, one thing, India takes pride in having so many different cuisines within India. There's a North Indian cuisine, South Indian cuisine, East Indian cuisine. Even in South India, there is so many variations.
You cannot learn by book. This is with the experience.
People would influence off each other. People can learn more about other cultures. It's like a globalism thing, I'd say.
Been in India, so I was eat the dal masoor. I love with rice. So then I talked to the owner. I say, okay, can you give me your recipe? I want to be cook in my restaurant. But he's a very nice guy. He said, okay, why not come inside? He showed me something.
And in fact, in some ways, the Indian brand kind of cannibalizes other brands. You have a number of restaurants here in the US I've seen that serve Indian and Afghan or Indian and Pakistani, when in reality, it's regional cuisine served by Afghans or Pakistanis that they've kind of copied on the Indian brand because that's better known.
I came here and I teach some Spanish people. They are my cook now. And this Spanish people is with me last 15 years.
The way they think about Indian food is like the same way they think about, I'd say, like Chinese food or something. Just like generally easy to get and like taste good, you know.
Very tasty. Okay. And cheap too. In food and Sri Lankan food? Because of all Southeast Asians, right? Yeah. Little bit the taste different, but food almost same.
Food is a very important cultural aspect, and that's the thing that's gonna do. Like, I think it will help just the cultural aspect. People will obviously be happier, they have more options.
As cultures get more affluent, we ascribe higher affluence to their cuisine. So like, before you get cheap Chinese cuisine, but as China has become an emerging power, a great power, we start to see more luxurious sides of Chinese restaurants opening up places. And so you could see that with Indian cuisine as well, not just, curry, not just, dosas, but really trying to focus on the higher level, the affluence of Indian cuisine. But that takes a more robust strategy.
Indians are very entrepreneurial, so it becomes much easier for them to open a restaurant and then for the restaurant to do very well.
So I think diversity is one thing we are so proud of. And I like to keep that as itself and maybe educate people more. Hey, try different cuisine. You haven't tried all Indian food until you try all cuisines,
The first people who came out of India were people from North India. They were the ones who were into food. So those restaurants opened. But today if you go, for example, if you go to New York in Dhamaka, you get Indian regional cuisines from, lal mas from Rajasthan to Champaran mutton from Bihar. You get it here in New York.
Starting it's tough, but and then after that COVID comes. But I never closed this restaurant. Paneer tikka, biryani, vegetable. This is our tandoor. We are making this chicken tikka, butter chicken. So we're making okra salad here. When I came here, in 94, Indian food, what Indian food people knows? From 6 feet, if you don't know about 6 feet. 6 feet food, all from Bangladesh. Local American knows this is Indian food. I don't put colors in chicken, tandoori chicken. So they said this is not tandoori chicken. But now, slowly, when a lot of people and our office is opened in America, in India, and people going. So now people coming in, they know this is not Indian food. And they know, now the people know, but now regional also, now they know what is chicken and what is. In last 94, lot of changes.
So amazing when non-Indian customers show up in our restaurants. They ask us so many different questions and what a traditional street food means. So we do offer a very traditional street food from India. It's very famous, called bhaji pav.
This particular place we are sitting at, has since 2013, so that'll be 8 years now. Yeah, but I have been in the business otherwise more like 35 years. Since 1985. So
it's a long time.
Long time. Yeah. So always had a place to eat, place to drink. So I think that's a good reason to have restaurants. and really, because I feel like that provided me social. To be honest, I was a very shy person to start out, and I was forced to talk to people. This is part of my job. I feel like now I can't shut up. It kind of came out of the concept, basically if I ate in my mother's kitchen, that's how it would be. We have a plate, on that you put some onions, some pickles and some whatever, so that becomes your plate. So basically I was trying to recreate that concept. But turns out actually it's not so far different, which a lot of people told me, it's like Chipotle. Have you heard of Chipotle? Of course. So they say it's like Chipotle, and which I said true, and then every once in a while, actually more often than not, they'll come out, it's just like Chipotle, but even better. I said, well, that's my language. That's music to my ears.
And if you go any Indian 5-star restaurants these days, like 60-70% non-Indian client base. 60-70% non-Indian client base, and they have added so many tastes down these days.
And originally, when people went to India and they eat chaats and what they know, this is before what they want to eat. Saag, paneer, lamb curry, and chicken, butter chicken, chicken tikka masala, not butter chicken also. Now people a lot of understand also the chicken tikka masala is not Indian, chicken tikka masala is British.
Do they really know that now?
A lot of people, now 30% people know chicken tikka masala from British.
Ruben, you sign and put the last guy and close. Yeah. Coconut chutney, spicy chutney, everything, boss? Yeah. My name is Kandaswamy Tirukumar, and I run NY Dosa's vegetarian vegan pushcart in Washington Square Park, right by NYU. This is Westport and Sullivan, right on the south side of Washington Square Park. And I serve like vegetarian vegan food. This is our most seller, special pondicherry. It's like dosa with potato and veggies.
All the time.
You always come and ask me?
Always. I offered, so the first couple times I came, I saw the line, I read about it, it was great. So I came to the line, I said, how long are you going to wait? He said, an hour. So I said, I'll give you $20 for your spot. No. $50. No. No, this is the first time.
Yeah, but I really I guess I stayed away from it because of the spiciness.
So we always see him here.
Brother, thank you so much.
He's an institution in the park.
Thank
It's
you,
great.
boss.
You know, this guy's he's nice.
They listed in me on the food list like a tour guide books. Whoever traveled to New York, 42 countries, list me. So they come, they know already. Food right, we are sold out, boss. Run out of food.
Sold out?
Everything gone. Nothing left. These guys are waiting for a long time, so I make something, whatever I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll come back next time then.
Yeah, please. That's why I keep it simple, like a one cart and just simple. So, because our fan club base and people travel from everywhere. So, if I'm not here, they'll be so disappointed. So, that's why I just keep it simple,
So you have your fans.
Too much, man. That's why every day from somewhere, from some place. Yeah. Even today, I have people from Nashville, Tennessee, Detroit, Mexican, everywhere. So, Dave, California. That girl is from California, right there. Yeah, well, people don't know, like you say, they ask. I will always explain to them where I'm from and where the food is from and what. If you have this food, what is good for your body, all I explain to them. So that's why they satisfy, This one actually I want to promote Indian food for international. That was my basic idea, and vegan, So that's why I just started right here and make Indian food for international, not for like only to Indian to have. Everybody to have. That's why I created vegan, so even kosher people, kosher people, halal, anybody can come and eat here. It's all vegan here, no butter, no ghee, nothing, Yeah. Then I participated in a couple of competitions too, and I won. And this, you can see, 2007, out of 10,000 cards, this is the best one. Yeah. Brandy Award, then written up in 2003, like Best of New York. In the New York magazine. That's after that I picked up a lot of business too.
It was excellent, man. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah. Thank
so
you.
much. Have a
All
great
right.
day.
Yeah.
Thank you. See you next time.
Yeah, I'll see you again. Take care.
Thank you. Pleasure. See you at first time. You interviewed,
Food is a very big part of traveling for me, and I guess for a lot of people. The food is really important, and especially if it's something different, because the whole point of traveling is like exploring new things, right? So yeah, food is really important.
I really think it's really important to like the food if you plan to travel to a certain country, and it also gives you confidence, because if you know the food that they serve there, it really influences your decision to a better.
Wow, thank you.
We serve food according to the Ayurvedic principle, which is a pure, lightly spiced, sattvic Indian food. And also we have no menu here, no menu at all. It is like going to your mother's house Whatever she have cooked, she will give it to you and she will say, have more. This place was as a tribute to my mother, Tara, and all the mothers, because I'm a firm believer, is the mothers who cooks the best food with love and compassion. They don't have to be gourmet cook. So in that philosophy, Ayurveda Cafe is here. We've been here for 23 years.
I've been coming here for many years because the food is absolutely sumptuously delicious in every aspect. And the prices are very reasonable. The restaurant the amenities in the restaurant is very comfortable, and the people and the service is exquisite. So basically, I'll keep coming here because of everything that's wonderful about it.
People have begun to realize that Indian food is also healthy food because it has turmeric, all the spices are good for your immunity, and Indian food is becoming more and more popular.
In India, I felt like that was very genuine, very, like a lot of spices, very healthy, all vegan. Yeah, it was different from other food experiences, but I felt that it was very wholesome.
Tastes like Garwala.
Being in New York, so it wasn't just the Indian food and the vegetarian food, yes, and there'd be the lunch or the dinner, either way, if you were there at night. But as it progressed, there was what we would call the Indian street food to eat, all of that. That would be, right? And there would be the fruits, the vegetables, there would be the whatever, the crepes. There was a wide variety for all, and then of course all the sweets and the sugar and the this and the that. And then every once in a while, one would be blessed to be in the right place and we'd get Swami food. We would get the leftover Swami food. That was like, oh my God. That was like, oh my God. And then,
Ayurveda is a 5,000-year-old science from India, which basically tells you eat the right food for your body.
now I'm a vegetarian, where I experimented with vegetarianism a long, long time ago. But that was nothing compared to now. I do eat some chicken and I do eat some eggs because I need that protein.
I used to eat more meat and stuff. And then I kind of started leaning towards choosing more vegetarian options. And now I'm mostly vegetarian, but I do make exceptions now and then when I feel like.
And it's not just the food entrepreneurs and wellness experts that are creating a cultural understanding of India and its people. It's also the media, the celebrities, the online influencers and comedians.
Also, Indian food is romantic food. You know, there's nothing romantic about sitting with somebody and having dinner. But if you can spend your life with somebody who's just... That is true love, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi! I love that you're coming to the kitchen already. Now, we'll fold them over. That was the better way to do it. Yes, wait.
Look at how gorgeous that is.
I'm gonna do the same thing on mine. So, masala dosa.
So are you saying that I would be happier for the second half of my life without eating meat?
You will be calmer and more at ease.
But I am calm. I am.
I don't think the world thinks so about your calmness.
You wouldn't know, you don't have any televisions here.
I love Indian food. And you know what I love about Indian restaurants? It's always empty. There's only 3 people in that. I don't know how they make money. They be there 20 years. How long you been here? 20 years. We'll continue, 20.
You know, India and Punjab in particular, that's a place that I could happily eat vegetarian for quite some time without really noticing it and just enjoy it. The food's so proudly prepared. The textures are varied, it's colorful, it's spicy.
Add depth of flavor, incredible texture. And this really eats like this is all you need.
Here.
Oh,
Seriously,
God.
this is amazing.
I love the chutneys. They're so creative. Right. Yeah. All right. Nice.
Go team. You
And
got it,
gently.
We're going to
Oh,
regionals.
sure. Gently. I told you I don't do gently.
I know what this is, but I have somehow. Is this rangoli? Rangoli is what you make on the floor. Can we not put that in?
I think I've figured out that I don't know my spices, but I also love fried and delicious things.
This is all very good. I'm also going to be completely sugar-highed after this.
I mean, I wish when we go back to the US, I'll have the access to these kind of sweets. That's definitely something I will miss.
My favorite out of all the snacks is probably the first one, the gujia, right? Okay, I'm gonna be having the gujia a lot more frequently, but I also really like this one, honestly.
If you want to visit India and experience food, probably you should come around Holi to try some of these amazing sweets. It's really wonderful.
You know, today if you go to any place in the world, if more or less all world capitals will have an Indian restaurant. Yes, we are invested in cultural diplomacy. Government of India gives prime importance to our cultural engagement with countries and communities abroad. We have been promoting Indian food as part of our cultural engagement with communities abroad.
To my knowledge, and if I'm wrong, I apologize. I am not aware of any strategic Indian gastrodiplomacy program. There might be some ad hoc programs that are done by different consulates or embassies, but that's not a full-fledged gastrodiplomacy campaign.
I'll give you my personal experience. While Indian food is known across the world, what is served as Indian food is essentially food from one part of India. So say northern part of India. Food that you get in Delhi is the food that you get everywhere in the world. So as far as, because my heart lies with food. So for that reason, it was my attempt in South Africa and elsewhere that I stayed to promote not just food, but diversity of Indian food.
What I think would probably be best for India would be some kind of hybrid, polylateral campaign of which you'd have to incorporate. So people kind of know what Indian food is, but not really. We have an idea of the northern curries. Northern cuisine is almost like, you know, Burmese cuisine, whereas the cuisine in the south is so unique to itself. And so what I think would be very powerful in an Indian context would be doing kind of the sub-state regional focus, and in some ways you've got a little bit more lithe, bureaucracies that you're working with. So it would be a partnership, a multi-level partnership between different states in India, their ministries of the state ministries of tourism, working directly with the government to try and focus on how do you promote different sides of Indian cuisine. And I think because you've got some understanding, but not when you have some understanding but not a deep understanding, it works better to kind of drill down and focus on different regional varieties, which would be, I think, very wonderful.
People in South Africa, for example, they knew what Indian food is, but they didn't know what Bengali food is. So we had a food festival based on Bengali cuisines. So we served Radhavallavi, which people don't know. We served all the sweets from Bengal. We served Kashamansho, all the fine varieties, Bengal varieties of food that we have. Similarly, the following year we had Avdi Food Festival. People understand Mughlai food, but their understanding of Avdi food and the variety that it brings, for the sake of your viewers, let me tell you, Avdi food, apart from its taste, aroma, everything else, is also known for its disguising food. It disguises food. So you are eating, say, a fish which looks like a pan. It's not a pan, it's a fish.
I think India could do very well with it. I think Indian cuisine is some of the best in the world. I love all of the food of India and all of the different regional varieties. And I think there's a real opportunity to promote some of the areas of India that get less tourism, that have less of a strong cultural brand, but that takes some partnership and synergy between of these state governments, the state ministries of tourism, state tourism boards, working together with the Ministry of Tourism to try and hone in on an overall campaign.
And it was part of the consulate's program, Cultural Outreach, that we organized food festival. And in 3 years that I stayed there, we did 2 food festivals. We had chefs coming from India. We had the India Tourism Development Corporation, ITDC, involved in it. Ministry of Tourism was involved in it. And of course, we had local partners. So government of India is invested.
Those state governments working directly with the Indian government to do gastrodiplomacy. And I think in some ways you've got a better chance of seeing a robust Indian gastrodiplomacy campaign if you are innovative in that sense. And especially because the Indian commercial sector is so strong in so many ways, and India has so many entrepreneurial chefs, trying to facilitate the soft power of India by highlighting its culinary sector in parts that are less well known. I think there's a real opportunity.
You here, for example, if you go to Little India, you will get Gujarati food because Watan restaurant is there. And similarly, there are several other restaurants which serve regional cuisines. But it's very difficult to, find Northeastern Assamese food here. So it does make some sense for us to promote the food from Northeast.
One of the things that worked very well for the diplomatic culinary partnership of the State Department of the U.S. was engaging in celebrity diplomacy, using celebrity chefs to be kind of culinary, ambassadors, gastrodiplomacy ambassadors. So India has so many wonderful celebrity chefs, trying to engage with them, to use them to highlight the Indian culinary brand, partnering with different aspects. And again, this is multi-layer, campaign. I mean, using the Indian chefs in the culinary diplomacy side of things, using gastrodiplomacy to promote different regions of Indian cuisine.
I would say that, it is there is a format in place to promote Indian food and cuisines abroad.
Trying to be more strategic in how you're engaging in this, doing more targeted, outreach to different countries. To my knowledge, and I could be wrong, but I am not aware of any sustained Indian gastrodiplomacy campaign.
As part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, ICCR, Indian Council for Cultural Relations, had organized a conversation on food, wherein experts from various parts of the world spoke about food. We had our celebrated chef here, Vikas Khanna. He spoke about Indian food. We had a participant from Australia, someone from Japan, and one very leading distinguished food expert based in Chicago, Colleen Taylor-Sen. She spoke about Indian food, and her talk, if I remember correctly, was not what food has come from outside, but what food India has sent abroad. So there are some of these foods which have come from India, but people don't know that the origin actually happened. The origin is from India. So that was very interesting.
Good gastrodiplomacy is cognizant when there are outliers that are not exactly authentic, but still help further your culinary nation brand. So you have to also be cognizant to when those innovations create, broader opportunities. I don't know if the New York consulate or the LA consulate wanted to have a fusion samosa fest. I don't know. I mean, Nick didn't come up with or other ways of creating those fusions. It's a way of getting to know your neighbors, of getting to know their cuisine, of figuring out how your cuisine connects with their cuisine. There is room for it, but it can't be done on its own. You also have to be there to have that concurrent campaign to show the authentic side as well.
So that richness, it's important that we tell the world of the richness of Indian food and Indian traditions. And it's not just because it belongs to us, but because we want to share that knowledge with people, so that we can share that knowledge and we can share our heritage, and at the same time bring value to people and their living.
The best. I love it. Yellow dal.
Very good, very good. Ciao.